since, I believe it's 1990. And he is a professor in the School of Civil Engineering, College of Engineering, and he's going to talk to us today about taking a large upper division class, which is traditionally a lecture hall, and moving it into what he calls a learning studio. So we're going to have opportunity to ask questions and get feedback on Larry's discussion. So Larry, please take it away. Please help me in welcoming Larry Nies.
Thank you very much, David, and thank you all for showing up this morning. I know the 8 o'clock, 8:30 time slot is a little rough. So I'm very happy to be able to tell you this story, and it's pretty much just going to be a story. And it's really about how I was very selfish and decided that I needed to work really hard to try to keep my job exciting. And this is really, honestly, why I did it. I love teaching. I tell people that really what I am is I'm a vampire. I suck energy out of students, and I do that in the classroom. And I depend on that for my existence. So in 2002, I launched this course, CE 355, Engineering Environmental Sustainability. And I do want to mention that it's going to be cross-listed starting in the fall, assuming it gets approved with environmental and ecological engineering. So it'll be EEE 355 as well. I have a little story to tell you about that. And in 2002, the enrollment was about 40, 50 students a semester. It was only taught in the spring. All the hippie freaks and environmentalists and liberal tree huggers took the class, and we had a big love fest. And it was wonderful. And it was just great. And then the class became popular. Sustainability became something that advisors were telling their students, you should take this class, you need to learn about this. And the course exploded all of a sudden to 100 students a semester, and 75 of them didn't really want to be there, thought that I was an asshole, and argued with me, and I became totally miserable. And then the university put me in electrical engineering at 7:30 in the morning in that cavern that sits above the little nuclear reactor. And I had to get up at 5:30 every morning and go to class in the wintertime to 100 students, which of course never showed up. But grumpy students, sleeping students that just didn't want to be there. And because the course is about sustainability and sustainable engineering, it's about wicked problems. And I don't know if you're familiar with this term, but this is a term that exists in the literature. And wicked problems are open-ended problems. They're problems that don't really have solutions. They're problems that I tell my students, I don't even want to use the word solution, because that implies that you can do something and you can walk away. And really what we need to think about is management strategies and stay engaged continuously so we adapt and modify our actions, because these problems are so complex and interconnected that we were going to screw everything up every time we do something, and we need to stay on top of it. And students have difficulty with open-ended problems. I think our university, we train students to solve equations, come up with that single correct answer, and that's their expectation. And they're young, and the world is a big scary place, and they come into class expecting me to tell them, what are the single correct answers. They want clearly defined problems. They want me to tell them exactly what to do and when to do it, how to do it. And they want me to tell them everything's going to be okay. And these students are changing so fast, I can't keep up with them. I have a little story to tell you. I have a lot of stories, and I'm going to keep my eye on the clock here so David doesn't have to kick me off the stage. We work in teams. The students work in teams. And last fall, I accidentally got into a texting group of a team. And my phone is just lighting up while I'm teaching some other class And somehow, I don't remember how, I figured out how this was happening, and I told the students, stop texting me. I do not have a texting plan. You're costing me money. But this is the only team out of 20 that was using text to coordinate. This semester, there's this app called GroupMe. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it. About 12 of my teams are using GroupMe as part of their collaboration. And we also, there's a PhD student in engineering education that's doing research on collaboration, and she has access to all of my students' work. So they're working on Dropbox and using GroupMe simultaneously in parallel. And she says it's the most amazing thing to watch. But one of the things that isn't changing is the fact that they do all of their work the day before it's due. So on a Sunday afternoon, her phone explodes with hundreds of texts, and Dropbox just is flashing away, and she says it's the most amazing thing to watch, but it ruins her Sunday afternoon. And this is a very new phenomena that happened since from last semester to this semester because of the development and proliferation of this app. Anyway, the other thing that I've discovered is the students already know everything. And this is a challenge in a classroom. And they're not real fond of they don't call it constructive feedback, they call it criticism. They don't want to hear it. So they also have expectations that I should know all the answers and I should know how to teach. So why am I teaching in this experimental studio? Why am I always changing things? They do not like the idea of being the subjects of any kind of study. And it's an elective course, so it's supposed to be easy. Even if it's a 300 level engineering course, it's not supposed to be hard. And open-ended problems are not real. This is not the real world, and they don't like it, and they don't like me sending them emails, and they don't like to do a lot of work. And I'm generalizing. I love my students, but they kind of annoy me sometimes. So this is where I was in spring semester of 2011, 9 years after my class started. I was utterly miserable. I was miserable. I was ready to stop teaching this class. So I asked Marn to go to lunch with me, Marn Helgeson. And I have a little story to tell you. Back in 2002, I was working on a proposal, and this proposal was the one that ended up launching the Environmental and Ecological Engineering Division, the degree program. And it was a planning grant, curriculum planning grant proposal. And somebody said, well, you should go over to the Center of Instructional Excellence and get some help with this, because they had looked at my draft. And so I had a meeting with Marn. I took about 5 pages of notes, which I still have to this day. And this is the first time I had met Marn. I don't know if all of you know Marn, but Marn is sitting right here.
From Illinois.
He's from Illinois now, yes. And she just said, you need to do this and this and this, and why don't you think about this one? And I did everything that Marn said, and the proposal got all excellent ratings. So, and now we have a degree. So anyway, Marn said, I went to Marn and I said, I'm miserable. I hate my class. I don't like teaching anymore, and this is really important to my existence. I want a barn with a big floor. I don't care if it has any furniture. My students can sit on pillows. I need my students to be able to work in teams. And she sent me to Tom Lee Doan, who took me to Hicks, B848, which is this giant cavern. I don't know if you've ever been in there. It's 3,056 square feet. I measured it myself with my own pace. And it's wonderful. I mean, it's just this big, huge room with tables you can move around, and I almost started to cry right there in front of Tom Lee. I was just so happy. So that was the beginning of the redesign, but the deal was I had to get into the IMPACT program. So that was the trade-off, which was a really good thing. So, there's a lot more goals than this, but really what I wanted to do was get students in teams, because they don't listen to me anymore. So you have to figure out a way to get them working together so you can get them on a path and guide them. but they have to work with each other. You know, it takes a peer to convince a student to do something, because I am not in their generation anymore. I'm just a cranky old man, and they don't care what I have to say. And so we want to enhance cooperative learning, and since we're working with wicked problems, and the management strategies involve changing people's behavior, we have to deal with the affective domain as well as the cognitive domain. Students hate this. And I would have hated my class too, because I used to sit in the back row. I used to hunker down. I used to never ask questions. I didn't want to talk to anyone. And I was exactly the kind of student that I don't want to have in my class. So I understand them and I can relate to them. But we have to deal with this. And my course is really about raising awareness and developing critical thinking skills, because there's so much content out there. There's no way we can cover it all. And I think it would be you know, insulting actually for me to determine what's important, to stick in my course and say, you know, we're covering the most important things, and what's not is not important. What's not in the course is not important. That wouldn't be fair. So it's really about getting students to develop their skills at evaluating information and thinking about what to do with it, rather than just saying, here's the 10 things we're going to learn in this course. So we change the content all the time. So I have some learning outcomes that have been massaged and modified a lot, and these are on our poster that's upstairs. And I'm not going to go through these in great detail, but we have a creative thinking outcome, so students can collect and analyze information and communicate. And we have a critical thinking outcome that basically says, you know, you need to be able to integrate and synthesize information from a lot of different sources, and then you need to be able to produce documents that are scholarly and cited properly and not plagiarized. And then we have this global citizenship idea, because you know, sustainability issues are global issues, and a lot of the sustainability problems involve the environmental ecological consequences of the developing world becoming developed, and all the new resources we're going to need to consume to raise the standards and quality of life of, you know, almost 5 billion people.